Major funding for Theater Corner is provided by UC San Diego. And by the Westgate Hotel, La Jolla Alcohol Research Incorporated, Signet Theater, and viewers like you. Thank you. Hi, welcome to Theater Corner. I'm your host, Michael Taylor. As a lifelong theater enthusiast and a board member for one of the top theaters in the country, I've seen firsthand the positive effects that diversity and inclusion can have on the stage and the theater seats. This interview series was created as a way to share my passion for theater and promote diverse voices throughout the national theater scene. We sit down with some of the top professionals in the entertainment industry to discuss training, careers, advice for young actors, and how to make theater matter to more people. Today we traveled up to the Geffen Theater in Los Angeles to speak with actors DB Woodside and Kelly McCreary, who are both performing in Dominique Morrisseau's play, The Skeleton Crew. DB Woodside is best known for his role as God's favorite son, Amenadiel, in Lucifer, as well as his performances in Suits and 24. We had a great discussion about slipping into a character's skin, his advice for students, and how he accidentally became an actor. So, silence your cell phones, folks. You're entering Theater Corner.
I'm gonna work hard to get us out of here with something that we can exhale into. Just please, until I can figure this out.
All right, Reggie. Fine. We'll do it your way.
Thanks, Faye. You tough as bricks, you know that? Nothing can knock you down.
Welcome to Theater Corner, brother.
Thank you very much, man. Thank you very much.
So very good to have you here.
It's great to be here.
And you're here at the Geffen performing in Dominique Morrisseau's The Skeleton Crew.
Yes.
And you're here playing the character of Reggie. Could you tell me a little bit about your character?
He's a very, what I would call a conflicted brother, you know? When we first see him, I think there's a lot of stuff going on with him, and we don't really know why. And, you know, we slowly start to find out as the play unravels. But he's in a position, a supervisor position, and I would probably say he's probably not built for that kind of position, right. But he's doing the best that he can. Okay. He's trying to manage a lot that's going on right now in the world of this play.
Mm-hmm. This is your first Dominique Morrisseau piece to perform?
Very, very first one. It's brilliant playwright. You know, I've been doing films and TV now for like the last 10, 15 years, and so I haven't done a play in a while, but some people sent me this play. They told me where it was being done, and I got a phone call from them asking if I was interested in it, and I read this play, and I mean, the play is amazing. Her words are amazing. There's something about her words where it almost comes across as poetry. As arias, you know,
right,
it's
right.
Almost Shakespearean, you know.
Yeah.
But it's absolutely beautiful, beautiful words, beautiful story.
And the fact that it does focus on just everyday people.
Yes, everyday blue collar people,
right.
You know.
Right.
And it's also just something really interesting to see, you know, these blue collar black folks in Detroit trying to navigate the world as it is right now. And there's something about, even though the play takes place in 2008, the play speaks to a lot of what's going on right now in our country.
So you yourself, DB, I understand if you could talk a little bit about that, how you just accidentally became an actor.
Oh, well, I was a football player. You know, I was one of those, and football was what I wanted to do with my life. You know, I wanted to go to the pros. It's something that I'd been doing since I was 6 years old. When I got to college, I got hurt, and I had a really bad back injury, and I was unable to play. And so I was kind of lost for a while, to be honest. And I was hanging outside of the theater building with a really good friend of mine, another football player who had also been hurt. And he noticed that the most beautiful women on campus, true story, were going into the theater building.
Oh, man.
And so we decided to see what this building was about. And as a result, we started to get into, acting classes. He quit rather quickly, but it stayed with me.
Okay.
And I felt like when I walked into that world that I had found my people, as it were. And there was something about it, something about being able to get on stage and disappear into the words of a fantastic writer and live that life and hopefully uplift an audience or show them a point of view that they've never seen or they've never experienced. There was something about that world that I just fell in love with, and I continue to love to this day.
Is the slipping into someone else's skin part of the experience?
Yes, absolutely. Because one of those things is, as an actor also, is you get a chance to maybe display certain emotions that you can't in real life, because you would be arrested or, something like that, right? But you have an opportunity to kind of slip into the skin of some of these characters and maybe understand from their point of view things that you were never really able to understand as DB.
Interesting.
And it's just something that's always been fascinating to me. And I feel like with every role that I do, I learn something else about myself, about how I may respond to things out there in the world. And so it's always a teachable moment, with every role that I'm lucky enough to get.
And so this play is being directed by Patricia McGregor,
Yes.
who's a graduate of Yale School of Drama, but you yourself
Yes.
Attended and graduated from Yale School of Drama. I was wondering, what was that experience like as a Black man?
It was very intense. And I want to be clear to say that I really enjoyed my time at Yale. I mean, it was incredible, and it changed my life and taught me so much. I will say at the time that I went, I had a few run-ins with some of the higher-ups, and I'd like to believe it wasn't necessarily because I was a Black man. It was that I was a specific type of Black man. And so there are certain things that I just didn't feel comfortable doing, and I wasn't going to be convinced that I should be comfortable doing something that I was bothered by morally. So I think that maybe caused a few situations that had to be resolved.
Okay.
But I still say to this day, that place taught me more than any other job I've had outside of Yale. I mean, you spend 3 years cocooned with your class, and it's amazing, because I think most Yaleys would say, as great as the teachers are, as great as the university is, that you actually learn the most from your peers. And it's the people that you're in class with. It's your other peers that are the directors and playwrights and stage managers and production managers, all of us going through this intense program at the same time for 3 years. You spend so much time with these people that they become your family, and they know you better at times than maybe boyfriends, girlfriends, husbands, wives, because you're spending so much time with these people, and the time is so concentrated, so intense, so heavy. And that's where you learn the most, from your own classmates.
You've got countless film, television, specifically Buffy, Vampire Slayer.
Yeah.
I mean, you did 7 years on that piece alone. And then there's 24 on Fox Network, and The Temptations, which you played the brother with the deep voice.
Yes, yeah, Melvin Franklin.
But what would you say there is about theater, about standing on that stage? What brings you back to theater?
Well, there's just something magical about theater. And as an actor, I mean, and I think you'll hear most actors say this, film and TV is great, right? I love television programs. I love going to see a fantastical movie. Doing a play, there's no barrier. There's no editor, there's no cut, there's no do-over, right?
Right.
As an actor, you are on that stage with other actors, and when it's lights up, that's it. And you're walking that tightrope with your brothers and sisters, and that's all you have. And there is something terrifying about that, which is I think why we love it. Because if you're lucky enough to do it well, if you're successful, that adrenaline rush, that high is unbelievable. And there is a dynamic that is set up between actor and audience when you're on the stage that cannot be duplicated in film and TV. It's live, it's moment to moment. You are having an experience with these other people at the same time. And that moment can't be duplicated. Every single night, you have a different audience.
Certainly.
And so every single night, you are receiving a different type of energy, which is going to inform you and what you're doing on stage at that particular moment. And it's just incredible. It's incredible.
You think your experience on TV and film as an actor perhaps would have been different if your foundation was not theater?
I have some friends who've never done a play, but I always try to convince my friends who've never done a play before that they have to do it just for the experience, because they have to know what that's like. I think most of the time, if you're an actor that's only doing film and TV, you're missing out on something. When you start doing a lot of film and TV, there's a certain kind of laziness that can fall on actors. And when you come back to the stage, it's really dusting off all of that dust. It's clearing the cobwebs away and kind of getting back in touch with why you do what you do.
Right.
Like I said, film and TV is fantastic, but there just is nothing like the mysticism of being on stage with an audience.
We have a lot of up-and-coming actors that watch Theater Corner. What kind of advice would you have for an up-and-coming actor?
What I see nowadays, and it's unfortunate, and I don't think it's the fault of young actors. I kind of fault our teaching now. I think a lot of young actors are always taught to just be themselves. And I think that's great, but you have to understand that people aren't necessarily paying money to just come see you be you. They also want to see you create a character. Now, that character should be based off a part of you, so that's your way into that character. But then I think once you've opened that door, you have to understand the circumstances of that character, of the world that they're in. So what I would say to young actors is, make sure that you get that extra bit of training. You're now competing with actors that are coming from Britain, actors that are coming from China, actors that are coming from Australia. Great actors coming here. You have to up your game. These are powerful actors that we should be embracing and welcoming, because what they do when they come over is they challenge us. And the more that we are challenged and the more that we challenge ourselves, the better we can become. And so I would just say to all young actors, stay in school, stay in class. Even if you're doing plays, even if you're starting to do some television work, some films, always find the time to go back to class, because you're going to surprise yourself. always keep digging deeper. There should never be a moment when you feel like I've arrived. No, you haven't. Keep it the work, keep working. Getting a great job does not mean you've arrived. It means you've gotten a great job.
I hear you.
That job will end, and you need to keep going. You know, so there is no end point. You know, this is a process. No matter what you've done, no matter how successful you feel like you've been, it never stops. It's a process. Keep working, keep deepening. You can always be better.
Also performing in this piece at the Geffen is Kelly McCreary, who is easily recognized from her role as Dr. Maggie Pierce in Grey's Anatomy and Station 19. Kelly and I had a great time talking about her education, investing in your peers, and what draws her back to the stage.
I'm talking work efficiency and ethic. I don't complain. I got the least write-ups, and
You fine in the mud. That make you irreplaceable as hell to me.
that's sexual harassment number 5062.
How are you? Very nice to have you.
Great, it's so nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
So in this piece, you play Shanita, this particular character, which you'll have a bump also.
Yeah, Shanita's pregnant, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about this character.
Shanita believes in the American dream as she has witnessed it in Detroit. It's a union town. It's a town where people earned their way into the middle class and these blue-collar jobs, union jobs, bought homes for themselves, educated themselves, started businesses, and really were able to realize this notion that we call the American dream. And she's invested in it. Her family, her community is all a reflection of the possibility.
Okay.
But she is living in a different time when the bottom is starting to fall out of the economy in Detroit, and there have been signs of the deterioration of the industry, and so she's really struggling with her idealism and her sense of optimism with the realities of the world that she's living in. And so she's a bit of a dreamer, she's a bit of a poet, and she's a damn hard worker. And she believes in hard work,
Right.
Getting you somewhere.
This is not the first Dominique Morrisseau piece that you've performed in.
Yeah.
What is it? What does it mean to you to do some of her pieces?
Oh gosh, when I first met Dominique was as an actress. When Dominique is a terrific actress
Correct.
as well,
Nice.
and this was years ago. It must have been like early aughts. We were doing a reading of a Katori Hall play, and I witnessed Dominique and Katori and some of the other artists and actresses in that room at that time really struggling to find a place for themselves in the American theater, to see their stories represented, hear their voices represented, and then I watched them make it happen.
Right.
And so, as a peer, I feel tremendous pride and gratitude for her contribution to the American theatrical canon. And she is also on a mission to sort of correct the record
Okay.
of the way that Black stories are told, the way that audiences consume us. And, she's really an activist in that way. It makes me feel inspired to work with her, and it gives me a tremendous sense of purpose to use my artistry to serve her work. So yeah, it's a tremendous honor to do the work of Dominique Morrisseau, and I hope to do it throughout my career.
I really love the way she gives the everyday Black person a voice, just like the same way
Yeah.
August Wilson does in his pieces.
Absolutely. She's absolutely carrying the torch, picking up the mantle of the writers who've come before her, who have written our stories without censorship or apology or explanation. It's sort of a for us, by us approach to storytelling, which gives us an opportunity to investigate the inner lives of Black characters, Black families, Black communities, in a way that we don't always get to see.
Right, right. How does a little girl from Wisconsin end up being a big TV star? At what point did you figure out acting was what you wanted to do?
I am a product of the Milwaukee public school system. My parents were really committed to making sure we had the best education possible, and that was actually possible in Milwaukee public schools at one time. And we took classes in all of the arts at the schools that we went to. We had, electives. I don't really think that's the case in a lot of public schools these days, but yeah, I really benefited from that. I was exposed in school to fine art, to music, theater, all of it from a very young age. And I tried my hand at all of it, and I loved it. That was my favorite part of going to school. I'm a huge believer in the arts and education, not just as like a thing to do that you might wind up doing professionally one day, but because it helps your brain assimilate all of the other information that you're getting in school. And it supported my education, and I loved it. I became very passionate. I played the flute, and I loved to draw. I did all of it. But ultimately, I think that storytelling and performing was just the thing that lit me up the most.
And you worked hard just like your character, Shanita.
I like to describe myself as sort of incrementally ambitious. I never really had the audacity, honestly, to dream that I would get to be on one of the biggest television shows in history. But I just wanted to do good plays first, and then get paid to do good plays. And then, work at some of the best American theaters. And then, maybe in Broadway. And then, maybe I'll do a commercial, and make some other kind of money. And to support my theater habit, really.
True.
And then, so I just sort of gradually started increasing my expectations for myself, and as I sort of checked off the smaller goals that I made. But I really stayed focused, I think, most of all on community.
Okay.
The community of artists around me that I was meeting and working with and working to develop their work with. And I knew that would take me somewhere. I thought, like, if we can be this gang of artists working together, supporting each other, and each going out on our own to grow our careers individually and then coming back together, then we could have a sustainable career in this industry.
Right. And a career you certainly do have. And so I'm wondering, what brings you back to theater? What is it about theater that you think is important or draws you back?
Well, first of all, it's kind of my home base. It was my first passion. As much as I love working on camera, I didn't start there, and so there's a real sense of, like, when I come back to work in the theater, I feel like I come to retrain my muscles and resharpen my skills, those first skills of storytelling that I learned, of character building. I do try to fully find a way to make the character's skin my own. And sometimes that means putting on something, sort of, I guess, energetically that's external to me. And sometimes it means kind of like blending the two skins together.
Right.
And I think that Maggie Pierce, my character on Grey's, and I share a lot of personality quirks in common. So that, not life experience by any means, but and then the rest is there in the writing, I think. It just, they really know how to write for my voice and my sensibilities, and so, that really helps to make my job seem effortless, I think.
And so with all your success, theater and television, what bit of advice would you give to up-and-coming actors?
I would tell young up-and-coming actors, artists generally, is to really look alongside you, look at your peers, invest in each other, support each other. You're the ones who are going to be growing together in the professional pursuits that you're into. really invest in that community. I think that there's this idea that, like, you know, if you're an actor, you got to get hired by somebody, you got to, you know, look up a hierarchy in order to get into the business. But it's really smart and really important to look laterally and invest in the talents and the ambitions and the dreams of the people around you and make your own work together. And I would say, get your training and work your butt off, and don't expect that your career is going to look like anybody else's career, and have patience and faith, and learn how to network. Networking is tremendously important. It's a skill that I'm still working on myself. A lot of the training programs, the conservatory training programs, are really great at giving you your artistic toolkit, and sometimes you have to work on developing your own business person's toolkit, and they are equally important. You know, the networking, the promotion, you know, all of that stuff is if you want your work to be seen, you got to be able to do that. So
Remember, as August Wilson once said, have a belief in yourself that is bigger than anyone's disbelief. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Michael Taylor, and we'll see you on the next episode of Theater Corner.
Support for this program comes from the KPBS Explore Local Content Fund, supporting new ideas and programs for San Diego.
Watch the full interviews and more at www.theatercorner.org.